Chair hands down House Concurrent Resolution number 56.
House Concurrent Resolution number 56, a concurrent resolution recognizing National Farm Workers Awareness Week, the birthday of Cesar Chavez, and the work of Proteus Incorporated. Whereas Indiana's agribusiness employs over 30,000 year-round seasonal migrant farm workers who are key partners for the safety, security, and sustainability of our food supply. Whereas the labor of Indiana's farm workers contributes billions of dollars annually to the state's economy, and agriculture continues to be one of the principal industries in the state. Whereas Indiana honors all those who plant, cultivate, harvest, and process our agricultural products. Whereas March 31st is the birthday of Cesar Chavez, whose dedication to nonviolent organizing for just wages, safe labor conditions, and dignity for women, men, and children who toil in the fields moved him to lead a nationwide peaceful struggle for farm worker justice.
For the resolution, Chair recognizes Representative Bauer for discussion.
Mr. Speaker, members of the House, next week actually, is the National Farm Workers Awareness Week. We have 30,000 farm workers in this state, migrant seasonal farm workers. And also, it's also March 31st is the birthday of Cesar Chavez, who helped fight for dignity for farm workers, and he's really a national hero. With which also is Proteus. Proteus helps educate these farm workers, and Jesus Rivera is here today. I had the honor and pleasure to work with her when I was doing partnerships with Ivy Tech, and she, I know, especially in the South Bend area and Kokomo area, they're very strong in helping educate farm workers. They're a very valuable part of our economy. I'm honored to be joined in this resolution by Representative Charlie Brown, Representative Lawson, Macer, Shackelford, Taylor, Arrington, Vernon Smith, Representative Mosley, Pelath, Candelera, Reardon, Kirkoffer, Burton, Porter, Clinker, Wright, Harris, Engelman, Moed, Kersey, and Hatfield and Summers. Mr. Speaker, would it be all right if we had recess for a few moments to hear from Jesus Rivera, case manager for Proteus?
House will stand in recess.
Good morning and thank you. My name is Jesus Rivera and I'm a case manager for Proteus. And I've been working this job already for 4 years. Proteus is under the National Farm Workers Jobs Program, funded by the Department of Labor. Now, this job is very dear to my heart. And the reason, because I started working at the age of 8, working out in the fields, side by side by my parents and my 11 siblings. So at one point I was 15 and decided to get out of working in the fields. So that opportunity came and I took it. Many of them do not have that same opportunity. It's a cycle that continues from our parents, our grandparents, and even our great-grandparents, as it did with our family. The opportunity here is with Proteus and our partners, CWD, Work Ones, Department of Labor, and Ivy Tech as well. So for those migrant farm workers that find themselves not knowing how to break that cycle, we're here to assist them. And thank goodness for that, because those that are coming to pick the crops and vegetables that you and I eat every day come from other states. I love Indiana, but our Hoosiers are not willing to do the work that our migrant farm workers are actually doing. They're working 10 to 12 hours a day, sometimes making less than minimum wage. So with that, I want to invite you to look up Proteus, and every single district in the state of Indiana has migrant farm workers working with them, have migrant farm workers actually working in their city or around their area. So I would challenge you to find out where your nearest Proteus is, contact your case manager, and find out, or else come out with us and see the work that they actually do. Thank you, Pat Bauer, and thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. House return to order for the discussion. Representative Gooden and Warwick.
I just wanted to say thank you to these folks who are up here. I grew up in a migrant community many, many years ago. Obviously, you can see my gray hair. But unfortunately, these programs weren't around then. If we were, we would be much farther ahead in the United States of America if they were. So my hat's off, and I just want to say thank you and congratulations as you move forward. Godspeed in your work. Thank you.
Representative Dvorak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House. Jesus here is a friend of mine for a long time in South Bend. And for those of you who don't know or don't have a lot of agricultural work in your area, we have thousands and thousands of migrant workers all over the state of Indiana helping to put food on all of our tables. And they often work in pretty deplorable conditions. And Proteus has done a great job of working with that community to make sure everybody's got great conditions and opportunities to do some other things in life as well. So I want to just thank them for the tremendous work they've done and hope we can do some more in the future.
Representative Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House. It's always good to see a friendly face from home, and that's exactly what Jesus is. She is one of the strongest advocates in our city, and especially in my district. When I decided to run for this position, she was one of the first people that got a hold of me, wanted to know who I was and what I stood for. So I want to thank her for her leadership. When it comes to Cesar Chavez, as well as we honor him today, my knowledge of him comes from my first class that I took at IU, which was labor studies. Given my instructor was then Senator John Broden, and he was one of the leaders that we learned about in American labor history. So we need to honor him and recognize him today as well. Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you, Representative Taylor. Representative Candelaria Reardon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I too rise in support of this resolution. In 1965, Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta led the Delano grape strike. That strike lasted for more than 5 years as the United Farm Workers fought for better wages, improved working conditions for farm workers in California, Texas, Arizona, and Florida. My parents were both community activists. In the 1960s, they marched on the war on poverty. They were involved in the Equal Rights Amendment, trying to get the Equal Rights Amendment. They always had a cause. And I knew they fought for those that couldn't fight for themselves. I remember being small enough to be in the shopping cart and being whisked by the grapes, the big juicy grapes, and saying, "Mommy, can I have some grapes?" And her saying, "No, you can't have grapes because we're on a grape boycott." And I said, "But why?" And she said, "Because the people that picked them were not being treated fairly." This is the first time in my cushy suburban existence that their battles had touched my life. And I understood that my parents were always fighting for people to be treated fairly. As an adult, I had the pleasure of meeting both Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta. Mr. Chavez said to me, "Mija," which is a truncated version of my daughter, mi hija. He said, "Mija, never forget." I rise in support of this resolution and implore you to not ever forget those that toil in the fields in the harshest of conditions to put food on our tables. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? Would you like to close, Representative Bauer? Question is on the adoption of the resolution, House Concurrent Resolution number 56. All in favor indicate by voting aye. Those opposed, no. Resolution is adopted. Thank you for being with us today. Chair hands down House Resolution number 43.